What's going on YouTube? It's Tej back again with another video, and today I'm giving you my NBA 2021 playoff predictions. A little bit of a break from football content as well as MLB The Show, and of course playoff basketball is around the corner. It's actually here now, so I had to get this video out to you. You're seeing this Monday night, so the day before the play-in tournament begins, so that's where we will begin. But first, hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you do, please hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, want more sports content in your life, please consider subscribing. It would help me out a ton, and comment away down in the comment section. Give me your predictions for this 2021 playoff bracket, and as well as who you see coming away with the NBA championship trophy at the end of all this. And if you want to throw a finals MVP in there, I won't stop you. So I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Want to have a good discussion back and forth in the comment section. But without further ado, let's jump into my predictions. We have the play-in tournament happening tomorrow, so I'll go ahead and start with these games down here. Start with the 9-10 seeds. Grizzlies, Spurs. I'm taking the Grizzlies. I just think they're a better team right now. There's not a whole lot more to it than that. I just think the Grizzlies, obviously they also have the star power, John Morant. There's just no one the Spurs really have to answer that. And on the Eastern Conference side, this is such a tough one just because I'm not really in love with either one of these teams. I'll go with the Pacers for right now. That one could really go either way. Now we'll go back to the West 7-8 matchup. I got the Lakers. They've won 5 in a row to close out the regular season. You're hoping LeBron's as close to 100% as possible. Anthony Davis, obviously another top 5 player in the world. He looks like he's figured it out. He's starting to get things working, and he's found a rhythm. So that's obviously big time, but that doesn't end the season for the Warriors. And actually, instead, I think it just gives them one more step in a matchup against the Grizzlies. I have the Warriors coming away as the victor, taking on the Jazz and claiming that 8 seed. Back over to the Eastern Conference, Celtics, Wizards. Dude, I'm going with the hot team. I'm from this Virginia, DC, Maryland area that we call the DMV, for those unfamiliar. Dude, the Wizards are the buzz right now. They are red hot. Bradley Beal has been fantastic all year long. Russell Westbrook has been a triple-double machine as of late. A couple other okay players in the mix. Overall, I think this team is just getting hot at the right times, and it's just crazy for me to say that. Actually, I actually put them in the wrong spot. My apologies. But regardless, I've just been really digging how they've been playing over the past few weeks. They've been, maybe the story of the East Coast in a lot of ways over the past, couple of weeks or so. So I'm going to roll with the hot hand, and additionally, no Jaylen Brown for the Celtics. That obviously makes it tough. But in a matchup between Celtics, Pacers, I do see the Celtics coming away. Jason Tatum's obviously still a fantastic player, and they have Marcus Smart. They have a few other pieces. Brad Stevens, one of the best coaches, doing it right now despite being a little bit of a hot seat. So I'll take the Celtics over the Pacers, but in this matchup, 7-8, it could really go either way. And honestly, whichever one loses, I take them over the Pacers. So one of these two, I see both these teams making it Celtics Wizards. It just comes down to who's the 7, who's the 8. I'll go with the hot hand and maybe the upset play with the Wizards. Okay, now we have the traditional bracket set. Let's start with the Western Conference. Jazz Warriors. Man, this is going to be a dogfight. Like, this is going to be one of the best 1-8 matchups I've ever seen in my life because Steph Curry is just playing out of his mind. He won't win MVP, but the fact the Warriors have made it in the playoffs, it's just a testament to how incredible he's been. Draymond Green's still solid, but I'm going to take the Jazz, right? Donovan Mitchell's just fantastic. I mean, you're hoping that he's okay and he's fully healthy. Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Him and Ben Simmons feel like the top 2 candidates to come away with that award. And again, they have enough role players in the right place. Quinn Snyder's a fantastic coach. I'll take Jazz, and this honestly could go 7. I really could see the Warriors pushing this out to 7, but I'll take Jazz in 6, maybe 7. But I do see the Jazz moving on. But this Warriors team with Klay next year, watch out. They're going to be unbelievably good. Moving on now to the 4-5 matchup, Clippers, Mavericks. I'll go ahead and just say I'm going to take the Clippers, but this has been a team that struggled in the playoffs last year. I don't know how much of that's the bubble. I don't know how much of it's just, everything that was going on in the world between COVID and, social justice that was happening in America. And I know Paul George talked about, how 2020, dampered down his mental state, and I totally understand that. So hopefully 2021 is a different story. But this is a really solid 5 seed if you're talking about the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, Luka Doncic playing like an MVP caliber type of dude towards the end of the season. Even at the beginning of the year, he got off to a slow start, but he was still playing like a plus level NBA, star. And then Kristaps Porzingis is finally healthy. That 1-2 punch, they can take on just about any team, in my opinion. So obviously a tough matchup here for the Clippers, but I'm going to roll with the talent of Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Also, playoff Rondo has to, be a factor into this. I'm not really a big believer in, like this guy just has that extra gear just because you should be going at it 100% year round. But playoff Rondo is a thing. I don't know the science behind it, but Rajon Rondo takes it to another level come postseason time. So I'll give the Clippers the slight edge, but that's going to be an awesome series. I'm glad they're playing again this year. Nuggets Trailblazers. This is another one that could really go either way. I'm going to go with the higher seed. I'm going really chalk here, which is disappointing. But despite it not being a whole lot of fun, this is Nikola Jokic's season, right? Like, he's going to probably be the MVP. And he has done a tremendous job since Jamal Murray's injury, carrying this team forward. They clinched the 3 seed. And in the Blazers, it just feels like they're in disarray. And honestly, they've already said they're going to fire Terry Stotts if they lose in the first round. Damian Lillard is a master of just willing things into existence. Like, if you're on Twitter, you saw that dude was like betting his house that the Blazers get to 42 wins. And Dame somehow made it happen after responding to the dude. It's crazy. Go on Twitter and find it. It's pretty sick. But this is also just a guy that, if Damian Lillard gets hot, he could drop 50 a night, and he could will the Blazers to a playoff series win. It's not necessarily impossible. So I'm not ruling it out. I just think the Nuggets are a slightly better team right now. And also, maybe it's me being wishful thinking Knicks fan. And if the Blazers don't get past the first round, they'll fire Terry Stotts and maybe try to just blow it up and potentially put Damian Lillard on the trade block. And maybe he finds his way to the Big Apple. That's not really weighing into my decision, but it might be just slightly. I do like the Nuggets as a better team as of right now. Nikola Jokic has been fantastic, like I said, so I'll give the Nuggets the victory in the 3-6 matchup. Then we get Lakers-Suns, and here we go, breaking away from the chalk. Look, the Suns have been a fantastic story, and I am all about Chris Paul, top 5 MVP consideration. Devin Booker at this point in his career is just a fantastic number 2 option. DeAndre Ayton has really gotten better playing with Chris Paul. Monty Williams should be, and maybe is, the front runner for Coach of the Year. He's done a tremendous job taking this team from one of the worst teams before COVID hit last season to where they get hot in the bubble, and now they're the number 2 seed in the West. Like, you got to be kidding me. That turnaround's insane. But Lakers at full strength, they're not a 7 seed. They would be the 2 seed most of the time. Minimum. 2 or 3 seed, minimum. But this is also banking on LeBron staying healthy, right? Like, a lot of times you'll see these players come back because, big games around the corner. And then once they get back, they may give you a game or two. Basically, the Lakers here in the play-in game, he might be able to give you a great performance. And then after that, the wheels start to come off just because he is just worn down. I'm hoping that's not the case. And same thing for Anthony Davis. And, Dennis Schroeder's got to get healthy. I mean, this is just a team that's been banged up all year long. But if they are at full strength, Lakers over the Suns, I'll say in 6. Again, could potentially go 7. This Western Conference first round is going to be crazy. We'll go ahead and hop over to the East. Sixers, Celtics, I'm taking the 76ers in 5. I am just, maybe even just a clean sweep, man. I am just, no Jaylen Brown. That kind of just ends it for me for the Celtics. This team already needs to add another player, so then when you subtract its second best player, you're not going to come away with a series win. And the 76ers have been pretty darn great this year, and Doc Rivers done a fantastic job his first year in Philly, so I think they're going to ride their momentum and carry themselves on forward into the second round. Also, like Joel Embiid, probably runner-up in the MVP consideration. Celtics' weakest point on their roster is big man play, so feels like a perfect matchup for Philadelphia. Then we get to my Knicks and the Hawks. I'm taking the Knicks. I think, realistically, the Hawks have a really good shot to come away with the win, and also Nate McMillan. Why the Pacers fired this man, I have no idea. I was literally, you can go find me on Twitter, it's down in the description. You can go back, and I had no idea why Nate McMillan was fired. I was hoping there was a shot the Knicks might bring him in or something. But he ends up as assistant coach in Atlanta. They end up making a coaching change, and he's done a tremendous job leading this young but talented squad to the 5 seed. And after a slow start, if they played a good 72 games year-round, this is probably a little swap here between the Knicks and Hawks. And if the Hawks had the home seed, I'd probably venture to still say Atlanta. But Knicks have the home court advantage throughout this series. playing an MSG, huge advantage, and Julius Randle's just been awesome to watch this year. RJ Barrett has taken a step forward, not a huge leap, but, instead of one giant leap, it feels like he made half the progress in one step, and you hope he makes the rest of it next year. Hopefully that analogy lands. Hopefully there's also another star next to him, and that helps alleviate the pressure. Looking at you, Damian Lillard, or Zach LaVine, but more likely Lillard. Regardless, I do like what the Knicks have done this year. They feel like the storybook, Cinderella-esque story around the NBA. So having them win a first-round series would just cap it off. And the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. Just like the Lakers and the Knicks and the Bulls. Like when those three teams are good, the NBA is at its peak. It's just like, like when the Giants are good in football, or when the Yankees or Red Sox are good in baseball. It's just these major markets. When those teams are good, the whole sport's better. The Cubs, another good baseball team to throw in that mix. But I think the story rides through the first round, and the Knicks advance to take on the 76ers, which I don't think will go well. But we'll get to that in one moment. Bucks and Heat. No S at the end of Heat. Apologies for my typo there. But I'm going to go Bucks. But man, the Heat are that team you just don't want to play this time of year. They are like, going back to the New York Giants. They're the wild card team that, they get hot at the right time and you don't want to see them in the playoffs. I mean, that's exactly how I feel like the NBA looks at the Miami Heat. Get hot towards the end of the stretch. Tyler Hero in specific has really started to put it together. Jimmy Butler is always fantastic. Bam Adebayo, one of the best defensive players. And this team knows how to clamp up, which makes me worry about Giannis Antetokounmpo's success. I mean, this is the team that bounced the Bucks out of the playoffs last year because they shut down Giannis. So really the X factor in the series is going to be Drew Holiday. If Drew Holiday has a strong command of the offense and he can be that number 2 scorer, I think the Bucks will be able to edge out the Heat probably in 7, honestly. I think the series goes the full distance. Maybe in 6 if the Bucks really play well. But I think the Heat are going to give them a good run for their money. And I just think the playoff, curse that has kind of stuck around with Giannis, I think that comes to a close. He gets that monkey off his back, and then they're going to start playing really good basketball moving forward in his career. And, obviously signed that extension. So even just getting one playoff series win will be good, and that's progress enough for Milwaukee. Though it will be interesting to see if one playoff series saves Mike Budenholzer's job, or if that's not enough and they decide to make a coaching change. But I got the Bucks just edging out the Heat, probably going to 7 games. Then we get to Nets Wizards. Gentleman sweep, maybe clean sweep. Nets, we don't need to talk about that one. Like, the Wizards have been a great story. I talked about it a lot earlier, but it ends there. It ends after that. So then we get to the second round, and God, look at these matchups. We'll stay with the East. Nets Bucks. I mean, come on. What more could you ask? Giannis, 2-time MVP, in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year, probably going to be like 3rd of that voting. And then this Nets team, which, I mean, I didn't really talk about it with the Wizards series. The big question mark is like camaraderie, chemistry. Harden, Irving, KD have only played 8 games together now. I'm not really worried about it. I got the Nets probably in 6 in this series. To me, the way I think about it is, you see all these videos in the offseason of these guys playing pickup basketball. And, Bleacher Report's all over it, posting highlights. It's like, oh my God, look at KD Trey, he's on fire. Or like, Hoodie Mello, he's back, whatever. You don't see those guys like not playing games because they're like, I've never played with that guy. I don't have his chemistry. Like, no, it's not working. If you're a hooper, you get buckets. You go out there and hoop. Chemistry's not that big of a deal to me, especially considering like KD and Kyrie teamed up to go there and they wanted Harden. Like, this was all kind of a collaborative effort to make this big 3 possible. So if we were talking about a team that's not as talented, like, say, the New York Knicks, I think a lot of the Knicks' success is chemistry and team building, buying into that mentality and how the world sees you and overcoming odds and being the Cinderella, yada, yada, yada. The Nets are just better than everybody. Talent, on a talent level, they're just better than everybody. So I'm really not worried about them not getting along, not having chemistry. And also Steve Nash has just proven to be a really good coach, in my opinion. And, as a facilitator back in his day, I think he'll be able to iron out any kinks that might be in the fold due to, bad chemistry. But I think that's kind of a myth. I think that's something people are holding on to say the Nets don't have a shot. I'm not buying into it, though. Talent wins, especially in playoff basketball. Like, the better team is going to come away with the W. 76ers Knicks, that's where the Knicks season comes to a close. The Sixers are just too good, right? Mitchell Robinson's, out for the rest of the year, so the Knicks really don't have a low post answer to Joel Embiid. Not that Randall's a bad defender, but Embiid's an all MVP type of guy. and the Knicks just don't quite have that level of an answer on the defensive end. Additionally, I worry about point guard play for the Knicks, and if that's going to be able to keep up with the high-octane nature of that 76ers offense. The Sixers are a very efficient team, so I just don't think the Knicks have quite enough talent. Give them one more star, I think this would be a really fun series next year, but without that extra star, specifically at the point guard position, I don't think the Knicks have what it takes to beat the Sixers, and then we get this dream matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you're a basketball fan, you're salivating at that matchup. On over to the West, Jazz Clippers. I'm going to go Clippers here. Look, the Jazz have been a great story, but again, we're talking about a question mark with Donovan Mitchell's health. And Rudy Gobert's been fantastic. Again, Joe Ingles, Quinn Snyder, role players, great coach. They have a lot of the pieces you need to be a championship caliber team, but if you're talking about one-on-one, better star player, Kawhi or Donovan Mitchell, taking Kawhi. Number 2 player, PG or Rudy Gobert. If his head's right, I'm taking PG. But also players like Rajon Rondo, and just overall, this is a really deep roster for the Clippers. So I'm going to give the Clippers the edge, and also trying to dispel the, playoff monkey that's on their back, just like what we talked about with Giannis. I think the Clippers are going to break through in a big way and come away with a trip to the Western Conference Finals. Nuggets, Lakers. Yeah, I'm caving in. I'm the worst type of person. Like, I didn't do a mock run through of this, but this is shaping up to be every person's nightmare, what they don't want to see. But full strength, the Lakers are just better than the Nuggets. I'm sorry, especially with no Jamal Murray. You lack that secondary star. The Lakers will have a hard time slowing down Nikola Jokic, but if LeBron is at his fullest, healthiest state, he does a lot of what Jokic does, just at a different position, more so on the wing or as the primary ball handler, as opposed to a center that you run the offense through. Additionally, Anthony Davis, again, if he's healthy, all-world defensive player. Forget about what he does on the offensive end. He's fantastic on the defensive side. Maybe he can slow down Jokic as well. But really, the key to this series is going to be three-point shooting. If the Lakers can shoot it efficiently from beyond the arc, I think they're going to be pretty comfortable. They're going to be okay to beat the Nuggets probably in 6. But if they struggle and the Nuggets shoot it pretty well, then I could see this flipping the other way around and the Nuggets maybe on 7. But here I'm going with confidence. I'm going to say that the team that won it all last year is going to find a way and put themselves into the Western Conference Finals, and we get the all LA matchup we've all been looking for. And in this spot, this is such a tough one because you're talking about the curse for the Clippers. Can they get it done in the playoffs? And then you got health, the biggest question mark for the Lakers. I'm gonna have to go Lakers, right? I hate that I'm doing this. I really don't think the Lakers will be able to make it here, but I am basing this off of them being healthy. So if that's the case, I'll give them the slight edge over the Clippers. But the Clippers are super deep, and I don't want to minimize that and how important that is in this series. I mean, the Lakers have depth too. Obviously, players like Kyle Kuzma's, Montrezl Harrell's of the world. They have a couple of good players that come off the bench, but man, that's going to be a knockout fight. I mean, that's going the distance. That's a 7-game series, and I don't know who wins. Honestly, it's a coin flip. You can convince me either way. But I'll go with the Lakers. Second year with Frank Vogel. Clippers under a first-year head coach with Ty Lue. But man, that one really could go the other way. But I'll stick my neck out there and say it's Lakers. And then Sixers, Nets. Home court advantage would be with the 76ers. But I'm going with the talent, man. I really am going with the talent. It just comes down to what this team can do scoring the basketball. It's something we haven't seen before. I mean, it's literally the most potent offense of all time. KD is still, even after the injury, which is remarkable, at his healthiest state, a top 3 player in the world. Unbelievable. I'm not even a huge Kyrie Irving fan, but when he's played this year, he's looked like a top 10 player in the league. And that is, if anybody who knows me, that is not something you would ever really hear me say. I am not a crazy big Kyrie Irving fan. I recognize he's a stud, but top 10 is just high praise. But this year when he's played, he's looked like it. And then James Harden. Oh my God, this guy willed the team forward for portions of the year with no Kyrie and no KD. And he looked like a potential MVP candidate. So I don't know. I don't think this team could fall short given how many different options they have in the offensive end. They're a bad defensive team. I'm not, knocking that down, but I just think the Nets have too much offensive firepower. And then also, Joe Harris is their 4th option. He might be the best spot-up shooter on the roster. Come on. There's just there's offensive, explosion everywhere on that roster. Like anybody on any given night can give you 20 plus. 1 through like 7 scoring options for the Nets could drop you 20 on any given night. Sixers are a great team though, and I'm excited to see what they do moving forward, especially now that Doc Rivers has seemed to find a way that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can coexist on the floor together, which is huge. I mean, up until this point, that everybody's been saying if the Sixers want to be serious, they got to move on from one of them. Doc Rivers has seemingly found the blend that Philly needs, and maybe if they had Kyle Lowry, maybe if they went up there at the trade deadline and made the move for Kyle Lowry, I'd actually favor the 76ers, but I got to go with the Nets here. And then we get this, and when it comes to talent, when you look at the rosters, these are the 2 best teams in the NBA, followed closely behind by the Clippers and the Sixers. So really, you could look at this playoff bracket as pretty chalk when it comes to talent. But because of injuries and because of a wacky format that we've never really seen before, anything's possible. And that's what makes this postseason so fun. We have an idea of how it might play out. In years past, we've always known, it's going to be, Warriors, Cavs, LeBron, Steph, make it happen. But this year, it's just completely up in the air. And in the NBA Finals, man, I think I'd have to go the Nets. Part of it's also, and this is also what kind of makes me worry about the Lakers even getting to the Finals. They had a 72-day offseason, which I mentioned earlier. I just feel like this team's going to be burnt out. So maybe I really should go Clippers over the Lakers. Kind of convincing myself of that now, but I've already made the pick. So maybe the Clippers do get the edge of a burnt-out Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. And if that's the case, I'm still going Nets over the Clippers. I might just feel a little bit more comfortable with making that pick. But dude, the Nets are just so talented. You just cannot keep up with what this team can do. And then if you want to say Finals MVP, we could go ahead and just make it Kevin Durant. I mean, pretty safe pick there. Maybe James Harden. I could see that. And if this series happened, I hope it goes all 7. 4-3. Nets win. That would be the part. And ideally, this bracket just is the most fun to watch. So maybe I'm just rooting for this to happen because I'm an NBA fan. I want to watch a bunch of great games. But yep, that is my 2021 NBA playoff bracket predictions. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Am I right? Am I wrong? Who do I have going too far? Who do I have being bounced in the first round that you think I'm just absolutely ludicrous for thinking they're going to do just that? Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. Please hit that like button if you did. If you're new to the channel, want more sports content in your life, please consider subscribing. That's going to do it for this one. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, my name is Tej. I'm signing off.
Part of the last generation that remembers time of God.